Sorry about that. Car's ready to get picked up from the mechanic. So we're just hosing these down all over with the brown jab, and when this dries, we're gonna see it just die. It's really not gonna show off that much, but it is gonna give that kind of natural tone. And with this, I want to make sure they did a good job priming. I apparently didn't do a fantastic job. You can see on the edge there that light coming through. You can just spray that with the brown and take care of that. So now we're going to have to go through and check these bases for those light spots where the primer, so you just rattle can primer for this. So if I didn't get full coverage, then we'll have like a black edge, which also we don't necessarily want, because that would just, but we're not spending, we just want to make sure that we have a good base to work off of, and we're not like we're really going to go through some paint on these, but it's worth it. You can get really good results with the Citadel the basing technical paints. I really like the Martian Iron Earth technical paints are really cool. I really enjoy those. But which I'll probably do a tutorial real quick, because that's not something that needs, you know, a ton of explanation. But we're just gripping it and ripping it on these bases, because we want to move through this. I mean, this is an important part of army building, and it's an important part of the final product. But one of the things that I like about doing this texture, we invested the time on the front end for developing this method of making bases. So I've got a little fuzz on these from when I primed them outside, but that's okay. So 25 mils for the Pathfinder. These are so cute. They're it's interesting because you notice GW is putting out fewer and fewer models on these 25s. Mostly 32s, even Warcry, which I was surprised by how small those Warcry models were when I saw them in person. Even with Warcry, they're on 28 millimeter bases, which are a little bit bigger, about 3 millimeters. The 25s just seem to be going the way of the Dodo, and they're really small. So I can see why they're doing it. They're also just making bigger miniatures now. I mean, I have a bunch of Neophyte hybrids that I want to use for cultists, guardsmen, you know, whatever. And I was going to use them for my Chaos Army, for Chaos Cultists. But then I had this cool conversion that I was going to do using some Sons of Horus Reavers from the 30K range as and then kit bashing with berserker bits to make berserkers. So I made the first one and then put it next to one of the neophyte hybrids, and the neophyte hybrid was a head taller than the Space Marine. So that's ultimately what led me to doing my berserkers with Primaris Intercessor bodies, and that turned out really well. That looks really cool. So you can see once that's dried, that's really, really dark. That's like a really, really dark brown, and you can see on the rocks just how matte it is. It's perfect. Love that. Now we're going to the green uniform base from AK. In this, we're going to do pretty much overall as well. And then when we get to the green uniform light, that's when we're going to do, we're not going to do the whole base. We're going to do kind of random patches on the base. So just want to make sure we have good paint there. So with this, we just want to give it a nice overall. You can like hear that sputtering. I don't. That's fine. This is the definition of wide angle lens work. So I don't care if this is sputtering anywhere. Obviously this will get a cleaning before I move on to any, models where obviously sputtering would be a huge issue, but for doing this, not worth the time to stop and diagnose and fix it, because we're just hosing. And this is starting to look really nice. It's not, this basing isn't, I mean, it does stand out a little bit. You don't see, the thing is, like, you don't see too many 40K armies on, like, healthy looking bases. Maybe more in Age of Sigmar, like with Sylvaneth or something like that. But in 40K, it's all, Grimdark. So it's really, it is an interesting effect that it stands out just by virtue of being healthy looking, which in the 40K universe is rare. So again, we're just hosing. $25 mils. Oops. Come on. And you can see, then we kind of look over and see if we, if there are any that are. But then once that dries, we're looking at not a ton. You can see it's a little green, but it still has a really strong brown overall, which we want. We want this to be a really dark base, and then we're going to pop it up with the uniform light, and then we're going to finish it off with a dry brush after we paint the rocks. So mix. And then this, we're going to concentrate. Ooh, that is sputtering like a mad person. You hear that? That is insane. We're gonna concentrate out towards the edge of the base, because the model is going to be sitting in the middle of the base. So we want there to be like a hint of shadow under the model. So one of the easy way to do that is just to leave a little bit in the center. Ooh, that is sputtering really, really bad. But again, that's okay. We're not worried about that at all. Almost sounds like a motorcycle starting up over here. Now we don't want to do, so like if I just went around like that, it's just going to leave this dark. We don't necessarily want, so we just kind of hit it a little bit, and you'll be able to see we don't want it to just, and then on these little 25 mils, we don't want it to just be like a black hole in the middle of the base. That's not looking natural either. These little 25 mils, there's no. I hate that. I hate when you run out of paint like. Oops, there we go. When you run out of paint like 2 or 3 bases from the end, when you run out of where you've got mixed in your cub. So I'm gonna hit those again. That was getting a little watery towards the end. And when these dry, you can see we've got a nice natural kind of green. You can see the green a little better there. Nice natural green, kind of darker green, but you know they're not playing on a football field, so it's not going to be really crazy electric green. It's going to be kind of more woodlandy green. So that's it for airbrushing for now. Up until we do, varnish. So now I'm going to get a little palette here. And for the rocks, let me just double check. I think it's field blue. Field blue it is. So, what did I do with you? Field blue. I think it's right. Oh, nope. There it is. So, we're just going to do the field blue. And we're going to use a totally busted brush for this part. And this is where we just want to get, hold that out there a little further. There we go, that's a little more natural. We really want to get just a base coat of this field blue on all these little rocks. And we want to make sure to get all of them because when we go and dry brush this, the ones that we missed are going to stand out because they're going to be a sharp edge in a kind of natural base. And they're just going to jump out and be like, hey, you missed one. So we like to try to avoid that, going back and having to do that. Never fun. So just go through and base coat a bunch of rocks. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be doing the full 2.5 hours today. I think I'm going to be cutting it a little short. I have game night tonight. Thursday nights are game night for my 40K club for our league. Tonight I won't be playing a league game. Tonight I'll be playing a narrative game with my friend Mark from Battle Host Podcast. And we'll be playing a game for the Somnium Stars campaign for the Independent Characters podcast. My friend Carl and Don, Justin, guys over there at the Independent Characters, good friends of mine. I used to live down in California where Carl and Justin live. Carl and I have been good friends for years. He has a narrative campaign going with his patrons for Somnium Stars, and it's super cool. It gets updated every month. It's like a GW Global campaign, kind of, and with really good kind of data, with really good like information and data processing and stuff, and visuals, and it very well written. So it's really cool. Looking forward to that. I've been hip deep in competitive play for about a year and a half, and it'll be good to get back to my narrative roots a little bit. And my friend Ben is going to the Harvester of Souls ITC major tournament this weekend. I went last year and had a great time. It's a really cool event put on in Spokane Valley in Washington State, and Bob Kelly is the TO who runs that. He does Harvester of Souls, and he also does the Storm of Silence, which is another ITC major, but the Storm is more a straight major tournament, and Harvester is kind of more hobby focused and has, the tables are more narrative. They have some narrative hitches in the rules on the tables. So he puts on a great event, great guy. So a little bummed that I wasn't able to make it this year, but next year I'm determined to go. So I also really want to go to Nova next year because that just looks like too much fun. A lot of my friends, people that I know from just talking online for years, or clients that I've had for years, they Nova's one of those big events that a lot of people kind of flock to from all over. So it'd be a really good chance to go see a bunch of people and meet them in person. And but my friend Ben is taking he's making an army out of models that I have to take to Harvester in lieu of the army that he's been playing. He's a very, 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 very good player. He won a GT down in Utah earlier this year. Might have been a major. I think it was a major. I think it was a major GT. He's on Team Zero Comp. Very, very, very good player. But he wanted, because it's a more hobby-focused event, and he's a phenomenal painter. Ben is really, really good. But he needed to borrow an army for Harvester and asked if he could make an army out of what I have painted for my Chaos and take that to Harvester. And so I agreed. It makes me a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. But just because, man, if there were like a car fire or something, or God, it would just be devastating. But from somebody who's had models disappear, and I don't mean Ben. Ben's my friend. He's not. I don't mean it like that. But just like acts of God. That would just be heartbreaking. But I think the odds of that are very, very slim. And Ben's a friend of mine and a very good player, and he wants to play kind of a Bash Brothers style list. So he's going to take that up to Harvester and see how he can do. If he plays well, he's definitely in the running for best overall at an event like that. And Bob does, and he said that he'd split his prize support with me if he won anything. And the way Bob does prize support for his events, if let's say Ben wins best overall, like the prize support and store credit for best overall, I think is like $1,500 or something like that. So half of that would be more than a few kits for my Chaos, maybe some Chaos Knights. I'm at this impasse where I don't really want to keep playing what I've been playing. I also don't think it's going to survive chapter approved. Plague Bearers will get nerfed, I'm sure. Deservedly so. They're a little oppressive. And then I play with a bunch of big bunch of big monsters: Magnus, Morty, Bloodthirster, Scarbrand. So it's a fun list, but it has some extremely hard counters, and it has no guns. So if things don't start to go well, they go poorly very, very quickly. So I want to kind of change it up. I have some berserkers that I want to make that I want to put into drills to deep strike them. I think that would be hilarious and fun. And then I have some Thousand Sun stuff I want to do. I have some Scarab Cult Terminators and stuff like that. But I'm really looking for a change of pace as well. So I mean, especially if Ben wins that thing, or wins best overall, or I may have him pick up some Primaris kits for me and start my Emperor Spears proper. That was, as soon as I saw the art for that, I knew I wanted to do some spears. Just I love the visual of that chapter. I love the, oh my god, I'm painting off camera. I love the visual, and I love the scheme, the kind of cultural, old Gaelic cultural touchstones that the chapter has. And then I read Spear of the Emperor by Aaron Dembski-Bowden. I got the limited edition one. The box came with like a purity seal and stuff, super cool. Then I read that, and I mean, ADB definitely has a way of making you want to collect an army. Really great book, just fantastic. So that really sealed it. And then I listened to it. And then when Spear of the Emperor came out on Audible, I listened to it again on Audible, and was just as good the second time. So we've gone through, and now we're on the last phase. This is pretty quick. I'm using a busted brush, but so I'm getting more coverage. And if we get a little bit on the green, it's not the end of the world. You're never going to notice it, because we're going to wash these rocks, and so that's going to help that kind of sepia, or that any kind of overpaint is going to go away when we wash these. So in regards to the stream, I have game night tonight, and then Ben is taking my army to Spokane. Well, my army's in my case, but he's taking part of that, and he's taking part of what's in my display cases. That's brown. And then I need to get the army that I'm taking to play Mark into a carrying case so that I can play tonight. So it's just a lot of shuffling of models, and I was trying to think like, is that something I could do on stream? And no, that's not really compelling programming, watching somebody box up models. So I'm going to spare everybody that, but the stream would take me up, and this is just part of the learning curve. I mean, this is just part of learning. There we go. This is just part of learning what my schedule can be, what it should be, when to leave time. I probably won't do like 7 streams a week. I'm probably gonna leave a little more time for painting. I wanna generate content, and I wanna be available, but but I need days where I can just sit and paint without having to worry about getting set up for filming and stuff like that, because I do have commission work that I need to get done, and then I have there's some days I wanted to keep filming tutorials today, so we're probably going to cut this one short, but I do want to get done with some of these bases before that happens. So what I just mixed was game ink and game color. So it's sepia ink and sepia shade. And the reason I mixed them is the sepia ink is really densely pigmented. So it's really strong. It's just really, really strong sepia. And then the wash, and it's kind of satin. The wash has that kind of a better flow, and it's not as heavily pigmented, but it also has a matte. It dries way more matte than the ink does. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over those rocks with the sepia, and then we're gonna wipe them with the finger, and that's gonna be it. And when that dries, maybe even be a little heavy on the ink. So we're going to go in and we're just going to wipe those off. So that'll leave a little bit in the recesses, but when that dries, it's going to give. I think we're a little heavy on the ink in that mixture. So what I'll do is I'll take some of that sepia wash in another chamber over here, and I'll pull out of here and mix. So yeah, you can see the difference between those two. On the left is from the left pot, and then that's from the mixture on the right. It went too heavy on the ink on the left, which happens. That's fine. And again, we're not doing models, so the fact that the first couple of bases are a little dark is not gonna affect anything. So we want to go through and just get. Oops. Want to make sure we're pulling from the right thing there. Make sure we just go and get all these rocks with this sepia, and what this does is gives some visual interest to the stone and gives it kind of this worn woodland kind of look to the rock. One of the things that's really fun about painting stone is that it can be literally any color you want it to be. There are, on our planet, there are virtually unlimited number, like every color and makeup and shade and texture of stone that you can think of. There it exists. Let alone in a game spanning a galaxy of countless planets. These could be pink if we really wanted them to be. That would be a bold choice. But so I really like playing around with stone, and it's something that I'll get to do more of. I do purple washes, green, blue. For the runic bases on the Space Wolves, I airbrush the dirt and I airbrush the stone, and then I do an oil wash, a blue and purple oil wash on the stone. and it really. So here you can see this is dried, and here you can see that really nice gray sepia. So they look like old stones in the ground, and that's exactly what we want. So just gonna go through, and we want to make sure that we wipe that off pretty quick. Basically, as soon as I'm finished painting all the rocks on one base, I'll just wipe it off real quick and then move on. Because I want to expose the field blue, that kind of blue-gray, so you can see there. I love this effect. It's really straightforward. It's really easy to do. But you just get a great result. So, yeah. So, and then like I said, going forward, I don't think I'll be streaming every day. I want to do a little more work with tutorials, and I want to do a little more work with painting commission models, painting for other people, and just so we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the week goes. I do like streaming. I do like streaming in the evening, but the evenings are when obviously my wife and I spend time together. Thursday's game night, so we shall see. My first week, so I'm still getting the hang of everything, feeling it out, seeing what works. But as far as getting my armies loaded up and everything, I got to do that. So stream scheduled to go until 4. My daughter's bus arrives at 4:30, and then, you know, once she gets off the bus and I go and get our son, and, you know, then it's off to the races, dinner, bedtime, all that stuff, dinner and everything before I go to game night. So that only leaves me about 25 minutes to pack up 2 armies, separate and pack up 2 armies, and that's not something that I necessarily want to rush. So we'll get these finished up, and then I think we'll call it a day. But I did want to get these done today, so this is good. And a little basing tutorial never hurt anyone. I'll be doing a step-by-step tutorial on the Patreon as well. I need to figure out how to. I got to upgrade my Vimeo so I can post more videos each week. I maxed out my video uploads in like 4 days, doing uploads to Patreon. So, and I want to make sure that I keep content coming. So, you know, it's only $6 for the base tier, and I want to make sure that people feel like they're getting a really good value. So I want to create a good amount of content, and release a good amount of content every week. So I have some, you know, back end kind of behind the scenes stuff to do as well. So, and that would really be scintillating content. Let's do Colin's personal finances versus expected income this month. So nobody wants to see that. So we're almost done. We just have 2 more 50mm bases to do after this, and then we'll be ready for the dry brush. And then after the dry brush is done, the bases will be ready for mounting models on. Once the models are on there, then we can go back and we can add those grass tufts. So nice. I'm excited. I'm excited for the narrative game tonight. Bringing Zinch Demons, mono faction, not even just mono factions, mono book. Zinch Demons with Fate Weaver, and the Changeling is making an appearance in 8th edition. So that'll be really, really fun to kind of get back to my roots. Get back to my roots and get some narrative gaming in. Very silly list. Very, very silly list. But it'll be nice. It'll be nice as a change of pace. Last week I played a guy who hadn't played in about a year, I think, he said. And he had Astra Militarum, lots and lots of tanks, a little bit of infantry, and I was playing my big monsters. And I was a little worried for a second, and then my monsters got into his tanks, and it wasn't much of a game after that, because then they stopped shooting, and once they stop shooting, it's pretty much curtains for the Astra Militarum player. So we had fun though, but it was a pretty laid back game. But this week I'll be playing Mark from the Battle Host, who's a very good player, and we'll be bringing similarly powered lists. It's funny, I've been playing competitively for about a year and a half, and it's been fun. It's just fun learning a different way to play the game, a different approach. But you can't really unknow what you know is good. So we kind of have to handicap our lists a little bit. So you can see, whoops, I'm about to dump that shade all over. This glare is just a nightmare today. I apologize. I'm having a couple issues. At least the connection's good today, which is nice. Yesterday was a little... Let's see if we can... There we go. That's better. So you can see that's a really light... We really lightened that up a lot with the ivory and the light uniform. And then this is so light that we're going to use it to highlight the rocks as well. Holy smokes, maybe not that dark. Yep. So we can see. How's that? Is that better? That's better. So we can see how those rocks really got nicely defined with just that little bit of dry brush. And there is not much paint on this brush at all. And this is one of the Citadel's fancy, medium dry, whatever, dry brush. But it's a great brush. I like Citadel brushes. I just have to. I'd never order them off the internet. Ever. I have to look a brush in the eye. So fortunately, there's a Warhammer store here in Boise, and so I'm able, whenever I stop by there we go. That's looking really nice natural green. Whenever I stop by the Warhammer store, I always peruse the brush selection, and if I see one that looks really good, that has a good belly and a sharp tip, and I'll just pick it up and put it in the arsenal, and it may sit there for who knows how long before I actually end up using it. But I don't ever want to get to a situation where I don't have a brush with a good tip, and there isn't one at any of the game stores locally that'll work. So then I have to order, Winsor & Newton or something, and wait a couple days, and always be prepared. So we're just going through dry brushing and getting, you see, it'll define that rocks, and it doesn't look weird, even though it's like the super light green. Very, very pale. It's very desaturated. It's very pale from the green tone, so it complements the kind of grassy woodland texture really well, but it just brings out the edges on those rocks, and you can see you get a really nice effect. And then we'll mount those gray and yellow tau on these bases, and they just look fan-freaking-tastic. So the blue-gray in the stone complements the blue-gray in the armor really, really well. So and what I'm doing is I'm getting a lot of that paint off on a paper towel before I start dry brushing. Otherwise I'm really going to overwhelm Otherwise, I'm really going to overwhelm the base with paint, and it's going to be way too light. And it's just going to draw a lot of attention to the dry brush, where really we want that attention kind of spread evenly over the base. We don't want, this isn't a competition piece or something where you want to create movement, or you want to draw the eye, and then you can kind of help dictate where the eye will travel on the model with the basing. This is for gaming, so we want it to look good, we want it to look nice, we want it to look cohesive, but we don't want the base to be the star of the show. We want the models to be the star of the show. So we really want that nice, be like, wow, that's really cool with the green and the tufts and the flowers and the rocks and everything. But we don't want it to take anything away from the model. That's the last thing we want. So we are going to finish up this dry brush. Boom. And that's it. Though that was 26 bases painted in not that much time. What are we looking at? Under an hour, maybe an hour. And so those are looking really good. Those are ready to have models mounted on them. And then when they're done, I have one here. This is a commander that I painted, that I had Brian send back to me so that I could check polarity when I was building the crisis suits, so all the magnets would match. So when they're done, you can see we add those tufts, and that's pretty good. These are painted, I don't know, a year and a half, like a year apart at least. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. And that's why I write down all of my recipes. It's so I can do stuff like this, so I can go back and make sure that it matches. So you can see on the right, once we add those tufts, it's just going to add that little bit of more interest. This commander's super sweet. I love this model. I love these Tau. But it really looked good on that kind of natural neutral basing. He told me he wanted basing that looked like it was from a world the Tau would want to settle. The Tau would want to take over. So we did a really nice natural kind of rocky, low key base. But one of the things I love about making these bases is I could have just as easily gone through with gray and with a dry brush, painted the rocks, done a couple dry brushes, and done some weathering pigments with different violets and black and gray and stuff, and get this really cool wasteland base effect. I don't think I have one handy. They're all in the case, but oh yeah, I do. The case is right here. So I could go through and do a wasteland base with the same construction. More skulls, obviously. Where's the guinea pig? We'll do Scarbrand. So like this is 19 Now we're getting really silly with the camera, but that's okay. So this is a Scar brand I painted for Boise Cup. This guy's a beast. I love using this guy. Scar brand cares not for where the blood flows. I really love how I did the brass and everything and the blood. And there'll be tutorials eventually on the Patreon about all that, all the musculature and everything. This guy turned out really well. I'm super happy with this guy. Almost got, I won best painted at the Boise Cup with my Zinj Demons last year, 2018. 2019, I came in second to Carl Perkins, who won best painted at LVO. So he has some crazy Geiger freehand, just insanity. So that was kind of a tip of the cap. But you can see on the base, there's this kind of really dramatic ash wasteland with skulls and more skulls. I didn't add any tufts, but that's the same. I built this base the exact same as I built the forest basing, and you can see just how different you can make this. And there's nothing to stop you from using reds or orange ochres and yellow ochre and doing the whole desert scene with these bases and just different color tufts. You could get a desert out of them. So one of the things I love about it is just how versatile it is. It'll work for a lot of different armies. That's a nice shot there. You can really see the interest that you get, like the sepia and even like the light green. You can't even tell that the dry brush is green on the rocks. It just looks natural. So the rocks are like a blue-gray with a brownish, reddish kind of wash, and then a really desaturated light green dry brush, and they look supernatural. They look not supernatural. They look very natural, which is the opposite of supernatural. But really happy with those. And like I said, I'll be doing a tutorial on the Patreon. Going through, I think I'm going to do one for each of those. I'm going to do a desert base, I'm going to do a wasteland base, and I'm going to do these green, very verdant green kind of natural bases. So yeah, so I got that done. Happy with that. And I think that's it. I'm going to reset. I'm going to get these armies packed up. I'm going to reset my workbench and get things together for tomorrow. I will be streaming the whole time tomorrow afternoon. I'll have thanks. Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun. But I have some stuff that I want to do tomorrow. I really want to get these tile finished tomorrow. So I will be streaming tomorrow, and then hopefully getting more loaded onto the Patreon tonight or tomorrow. So yeah, just gonna keep working. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Also trying to figure out if Streamlabs OBS would be better. I think see more interaction than just the chat, whereas I'm streaming in just OBS. So I can only see the chat. So if I don't acknowledge somebody showing up or something, that's why I can only see the chat right now. Still getting my legs under me with the whole Twitch thing. So I'm gonna look at some articles about that as well. But it's been really fun. It's been a phenomenal week so far with the Patreon and Twitch and everything. So I'm gonna keep hitting it hard and keep putting out content and sharing it with you guys. And thanks for your support. I really appreciate it. And thanks. Yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, Mark's a great guy. I love playing Mark. We always have a good time when we play, and hopefully the forces of Zinch. Yeah, I mean that's cool that you can watch while you're working. So no, I mean the daytime stream is definitely not going away. What I might do is I might stream like Monday, Wednesday, Friday during the day, and then do like a Tuesday night and Sunday night. So that's 5 streams a week, which I think is pretty good. But it also gives me 2 days, Tuesday and Thursday, to do whatever I need to do. And then, Friday and Saturday night are Friday and Saturday night. So usually not, I'll paint, but I have some tuition or some tutoring clients that want to do some work on Friday nights. And I think 5 a week's pretty good. Every day is a little tough, but we'll see what happens. I think that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then leave Tuesday night to stream. Thursday night is my game night, and Mark's working on streaming battle reports and doing that whole thing. So we're testing out his setup tonight. So it'd be cool to host his channel on my channel when he's doing stream games and I'm playing. I think that'd be really fun to do too. So we'll see. I'll work out a schedule for next week. Days off. Yeah, I think the 5 day a week. I think the 5 streams a week thing is good. I do enjoy it, and I do have a lot of commission work. I have a lot of work that can be done on stream, and it's varied. I'm gonna try really hard to mix it up from week to week. The way I've typically done commissions is I'll just paint Space Wolves for a month, but I think I'm gonna try and mix it up at least weekly. But I'll have plenty of content. It's just still figuring out schedule, still figuring out the rhythm, scheduling time to do tutorials, what I'm going to do tutorials on. So that list keeps getting bigger and bigger, but there's a lot to come. I've really been enjoying it. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to learn, but couldn't be happier. I'm very fortunate to be in this position. So thanks for tuning in. Always a pleasure hanging out, and we'll see you tomorrow. But I'll be here. I will be here. I will be streaming tomorrow, and probably working on Tau, but we'll see. I might throw a curveball in there and then finish up the Tau this weekend. So we'll see. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.